Tehran Iranians came out in force to dance in the streets this weekend, breaking Islamic rules, to celebrate the re-election of President Hassan Rouhani by a large margin. Emboldened by the election results, others in the capital, Tehran, gathered to begin demanding what they hope a second term for Rouhani will bring: the release of opposition figures, more freedom of thought, and fewer restrictions on daily life. Rouhani's supporters also expect the victory to bolster his outreach efforts to the West and the pursuit of more foreign investment in Iran's ailing economy. His win, with 57% of the vote, came the same weekend that President Trump was meeting with Saudi and other Arab leaders to discuss, in part, a strengthened alliance against Iran. For those who had voted for Rouhani, there was a feeling of tremendous relief that his challenger, the hardline cleric Ebrahim Raisi, who criticized the nuclear deal with the United States and other Western powers, had lost. "Bye-bye, Raisi," the crowds chanted during the street gatherings. The election outcome was widely seen as evidence that Iran's society has changed radically over the past decades. Influenced by satellite television, cheaper international travel, the internet, waves of migration to big cities, and access to higher education, most of Iranian society now adheres to middle-class values. This collides with the reigning anti-Western ideology and strict interpretation of Islam that was represented by Raisi and promoted by state organizations. The big question now is whether Rouhani will use his second term to focus on the economy, as he did after being elected in 2013, or whether he will also try to push the social reforms that his supporters are asking for. "He faces a difficult task," said Fazl Mabodi, a Shiite Muslim cleric from the city of Qom who supports reforms. He suggested that there were many more demands than Rouhani could handle. But people in the capital wanted to celebrate the victory and voice a call for action. The middle-class Iranians in the Tehran neighborhoods who brought Rouhani his victory, often by waiting for hours in long lines at polling stations, drove their cars and played loud music in jubilation, often stopping to get out and dance, ignoring a ban on such gatherings. Police officers simply stood by, often smiling, pumping their fists in the air. The group, including middle-class families pushing baby strollers, hipster youths wearing John Lennon-style glasses, and unemployed men with holes in their shoes, snaked through the streets. Thousands of others gathered at Tehran's central Vali-e-Asr Square, shouting political slogans and calling for the release of former Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi, his wife, Zahra Rahnavard, and Mehdi Karaoudi, a former Speaker of Parliament. Those opposition leaders have been under house arrest since 2011, without trial, after their involvement in the 2009 protests that disputed the election victory of Mohammad Ahmadinejad. Now he must provide more freedoms, break the hardline monopoly on the state-run radio and television, and increase freedom of press, Mabodi said of Rouhani. To achieve all that, the president must persuade the hardline-dominated judiciary and security forces to change their outlook, Mabodi said.